Witam ponownie. Ja nazywam się Marcin Rusinowski, a będę rozmawiał z naszym gościem specjalnym, czyli Clivem Townsendem, który, jak pewnie przynajmniej część z Was wie, jest autorem gry Saboteur, a w zasadzie gier, bo tych gier wyszło w tym momencie już 4. Rozmowa będzie w języku angielskim, natomiast ja wprowadzę Was tylko jakby skąd ja się poznałem z Clivem i w sumie skąd Clive wziął się w Polsce, bo kiedyś wylicytowałem komputer na takiej aukcji charytatywnej, komputer ZX Spectrum i 2 gry właśnie Clive'a, pierwszą i drugą część gry Saboteur z jego podpisami i kiedy te przedmioty do mnie dotarły, jakoś tam skontaktowałem się z nim przez internet. Właśnie pochwalić się, że to właśnie trafiło do mnie i Clive odpisał mi tak: o fajnie, napisz mi swój adres, bo ja teraz muszę wyjść na pocztę, tutaj poczty są krótkoczynne i ja się później odezwę. No i Clive się odezwał tam chyba po tygodniu, ale chyba wcześniej doszedł od niego, Clive wysłał mi po prostu plakat z jakąś dedykacją, więc tak totalnie mnie zaskoczył. I historia potoczyła się później tak, że Robert Łapiński, szukając jakichś tam kolejnych gości z Anglii, którzy byli w latach 80. deweloperami gier, no skorzystał z mojego już kontaktu z Clivem, bo parę razy mieliśmy okazję rozmawiać i w ten sposób Clive trafił do Polski parę lat temu, bo w 2018 roku pierwszy raz przyjechał na Pixel Heaven i od tamtej pory jest cyklicznym gościem w Polsce, można powiedzieć. So Clive, welcome again
Hello.
in Poland. I briefly introduced how we met, how I get a poster from you, signed. Thank you again. So this year we are celebrating anniversary of original release of it was your first game, Saboteur?
My first published game.
Published, yes. Okay. So this year we prepared a special anniversary edition, which is first time in big box because originally Durell released is as a jewel case, right?
Yes, Durell version was just a cassette.
Yeah.
But this is far better.
Yes, and first time it's on and this is something that is really rare because the catalog of games released on the ZX Spectrum platform on the cartridge format is very short, actually.
Yes,
Yeah, so actually this is, I think, second game that was released, that has been released after a long period of time, because the first games that was 16 kilobytes in limits were released by Sinclair as a cartridge format.
Yes, yeah.
ROM,
Not very many, maybe only 3 or 4 games, I think.
I think like 8.
Oh, okay.
I
Not many.
had something like 6 in collection, but yeah, it was very limited because it was for the roof was the amount of the memory that is swapped, so 16 kilobytes.
Yes. These days, a Facebook icon is more memory than the Spectrum had.
Yes,
So
definitely. So comparing what you remember, so okay, first published game. So how many games you made before first game released by Durell?
I made lots of games myself at home, and I took them to a shop and said, will you sell my games? And they said yes, but there's already a publisher. So speak to the publisher, who lived very close, and they said, we like the graphics, but it's too slow. So learn assembly language. So I went away in the school holidays, learned assembly language, went back, and they asked me to write a game called Death Pit, which was a tiny man underground fighting dragons. And it was nearly finished, maybe 95% finished. And then I mentioned that at home I was making a ninja game. And the boss loved it and said, okay, forget Death Pit, work on Ninja Darkness, my new ninja game. But that was also very slow. I was trying to move the whole background every time the ninja moves, and the Spectrum couldn't do it. So the boss suggested that I just move the ninja, and when he gets to the edge of the screen, it switches to another screen. And that meant I was only drawing the ninja instead of the whole background. The whole game was faster. And it also meant I only had one guard, one enemy in the whole game. So when you walk out of this room, I forget that guard, load in the new guard, and you play that. If you kill him, he's on the ground. You go back to the other room, and the guard comes back to life, and it looks like a different guard, but it wasn't. So changing screens helped me in loads of ways, saved lots of memory, and made it all faster. So Death Pit was my first almost finished professional game, and this was my first published game.
How old you were?
18, about 18.
18, okay.
I'd met them when I was 16, and then went there in the school holidays, but didn't actually start working for them until I was 18, or 17, 18.
So the moment we are talking about was 84?
Yes, about 84.
Okay.
And
So-
then Saboteur took about a year to write.
I think
So-
that there was something in 84 that changes a lot of development by switching from BASIC or other language into assembler, because it happened on many platforms.
Yes, I think you had to, because you needed the speed. And there were lots of games coming out that were a bit slow. So
Yeah, okay. So you were contracted by Dural for another part of the Saboteur story? Or it was your invention to make the sequel, actually?
Initially, to do Saboteur 1, they were paying me £40 a week, and my rent was £20 a week. So in England, not much. And then when Saboteur 1 went on sale, they increased my wages to £15,000 a year, which was nice for a teenager. And then I was employed to do a sequel, but my plan was to have the same ninja in a different map, so a different story. And then while we were talking, the boss's wife said, "Why is it always men? Why aren't there female ninjas?" I thought, yep, they're probably more dangerous than the male ninjas. So we changed the game and changed the story and made a female lead character, which was crazy. This was maybe 10 years before Tomb Raider, so you didn't do girl characters, especially ninjas.
We've been talking today about there was some kind of influence from the movies in the mid-80s that brought attention to the martial arts.
Definitely. I grew up in the 70s, so I liked James Bond and space things. Even my font is still like a late 70s font. But in the 80s, there were loads of Jackie Chan, Bruce Lee, and loads of ninja films. Enter the Ninja, Revenge of the Ninja.
American Ninja.
Yeah. Loads of them. So my idea was to make a James Bond story, but with a ninja, a martial arts character. And James Bond's bad guys are always the best bad guys, because they always think they will save the world or do something amazing. they might have to kill thousands of people, but it's all for the greater good. So I wanted my bad guy to have an underground base and a monorail, a little train, all the things that I'd seen in James Bond. And then the story just grew from there. And you get to kick people. So.
Yeah. When I was preparing for this materials for this release, I went through the Crash magazine reviews, and we actually put some thoughts from this. It's like playing a part in a Bond movie.
Good. That was my intention.
And actually, it is that this is one of few games from ZX Spectrum games history that deserve the star.
Crash Smash.
Yes, yeah. Yes. And this is just, it's early days of ZX Spectrum, actually.
I think it's partly because it's different, and I think it's different to most games because I hadn't played many games. So I didn't know you have 5 lives and so on. So I just did an energy bar. And people said, oh, that's one of the first games with an energy bar. But that wasn't on purpose. It was just because I didn't know what I was supposed to do. So I didn't know what to copy, which was handy.
Yeah. So you are very dedicated to this lore of ninja. I know that you are a person very into martial arts and this all kind of culture, we can say.
I was more when I was younger. I liked Japanese art. I did judo and karate when I was a kid, when I was 12. But I thought someone will just punch me before this happens. So, and I discovered ninjutsu, which is old weapons like swords, modern firearms, explosives, gymnastics, all sorts of things. Learning which joints are bones and which ones are hinges, and everything. Sewing. If you need an extra secret pocket in your clothes, you learn to sew. Learn medicine, learn all sorts of things. So it wasn't really a fighting art, it was more get the job done art. So I still use it. I don't fight, but if I need to get something working on that machine, I learn the machine, get the job done. So same philosophy.
Okay. Can you describe us a little how the development looked in the 80s? For example, for first Saboteur.
It was terrible. I had one ZX Spectrum, so I was working in assembly, so I'd load in my code, I'd load in an assembler from cassette, so that's maybe 5-10 minutes. Then I'd change my code, save my code, so a few minutes. Then I would load in all my other bits of code, hopefully in the right place, all my graphics, all my maps, all the music, any data, all from cassette. Press run. Oh, it's crashed. Okay. Load in my source code, load in the assembler. So this might be half an hour later, and I get no feedback, it just crashes. So I have to guess where it went wrong. And it took a year to make Saboteur. So a very slow process, and also messy, because I'd have some code here, and then, okay, I'll change that. It's too big now. I'll put it over here. And then there's a gap and a gap. But it worked. It was finished. Now, I've taken all the code apart and recreated the original source code And now I can fill in all the gaps. I can see the whole code in one go and make it faster, free up space for more graphics, more animations. A friend of mine recorded this, so I don't know if he kicks any guards in the head, but normally he jumps and he kicks the guard. But on the box, he's kicking a guard and shooting a machine gun. Lots of people complained in the magazines that you couldn't find a machine gun. And I don't want him to have a machine gun. I want him to be quiet and stealthy. So I say, he just grabbed it and it happened to shoot while he's kicking the guard in the head. So in this version, every now and again, maybe a 1 in 50 chance, he will grab the machine gun and kick him in the head. But I haven't seen this video, so it might not happen.
Okay.
We will see.
So to clarify, you were working without any disk drive,
No,
just pure cassette
one
recorder
cassette
player.
and one Spectrum.
Okay.
Saboteur 2 was easier because we had a PC. So you can write the code, download and test. I don't think there's any feedback, no monitors or debuggers, but if it crashes, you still have your code. So that made things much faster. But it still took about a year to do Saboteur 2 as well, because it was much bigger. I was trying to compress everything into memory.
And female protagonist.
Yes, yeah.
That complicated a little. Okay.
Yes, but I wanted everything to be better. So I wanted it bigger, more animations. So I spent a long time squeezing everything into memory. But sometimes the code was slower, but saved memory. And I think sometimes I should have said, make it faster and take something out, because the Spectrum version was a bit slow.
Okay. How it was with the porting of the game? You, for example, to Commodore 60.
Jirel didn't make them in-house. They were given to someone else to make. So they just had my maps and graphics and probably just played the game and wrote their own code from scratch, I think.
Okay.
Amstrad ones were a variation on the Spectrum ones, so that was quite easy.
Yeah.
But a bit slower, again, because the Amstrad screen's twice the memory. So everything drawn on the screen took twice as long.
Okay. Talking about money you were getting for a development. So from what you said, it was like you were on the contract, not per making game, right?
Not per game, just a salary per year. So if the game sold well, I might get a bonus. But when it did sell well, my salary went. So that was nice.
Okay.
But after a few years, they stopped doing games. They just sell insurance software, which wasn't my thing.
Yeah.
So I had the company owned the right to Saboteur, not me. So I went off, and my girlfriend at the time was a gymnast, so we went off teaching gymnastics for a couple of years. And then I saw an advert for a Commodore programmer and contacted them and said, I can't do 6502, but I can do Z80. And they said, we have a Game Boy, original Game Boy project. So I worked on James Pond 2, which is an Amiga game. And I worked on the conversion of that for the Game Boy. And then ended up staying with that company for years, doing Game Gear, Master System, PC, Mega Drive, just all sorts of things.
Okej. To ja, przepraszam, przeskoczę tak na chwilę na język polski, bo jakiś czas temu wyszła książka Clive'a ze wspomnieniami. Niestety nie ma jej dzisiaj dostępnej w sensie możliwości zakupu, ale Clive dopina w tym momencie możliwość kupowania tego, znaczy sprzedaży tego przez Amazon, więc będzie to można kupić. No i gdzieś tam są plany jakby polskiej wersji tej książki. I tam jest troszeczkę więcej historii, których dzisiaj już po prostu nie zmieścimy z Clivem w ramach tego czasu. Bardzo dużo zdjęć i tego, czym Clive się zajmował przez te wszystkie lata. Okay, I just briefly said about the book and the Amazon distribution you're finalizing. So after these years, I remember when I found you over the internet, I was surprised that you are still making Saboteur games for the PC. This was before ZX Spectrum Next appeared.
Yes.
So you were still selling PC versions. It was your conversion of the game to the modern PCs.
Yes. For years, I wanted to remake Saboteur for modern machines, but I worked with two friends. One converted the graphics, and one made the code for that particular hardware, and I wrote the game. So it was Xcode. I'd write the game in Xcode. My friend would write a bit that draws things on the screen and plays sound, and my other friend would convert the graphics. But by the time we finished that, Xcode was outdated, so we started again on something else, different computer, different graphics, different game, well, the same game, different language. And we did this for 3 years, and I said, okay, from now on, I want to be platform agnostic. I don't care what the platform is. So I split everything. I made my own language, which I call easy code, because it's easy. And I write the game in easy code. And then I press a button, and it'll make a Java version. And, Java's, okay, no one wants Java, okay. A Unity version, so it'll do Unity script. And then Nintendo says, no, not Unity script, we want it in Unity C. Okay, so I then teach easy code how to do Unity C. You press a button, and then all the games work. That was my thought process for making a modern version. I just spent so long hitting my head against a brick wall trying to make a new version. But when it worked, it means any new language, within reason, I can just teach easy code the new language, and all the game works. So then all I had to do is make the games. So I made Saboteur the same as this, and the same as the next version, but it's a PC, so I've got tons of memory, better music. So the PC version is this, but 7 times bigger. So if you complete this story, that's the end. But the PC one, there's more. I won't tell you much more, but it's still Bond villain, underground bases, and evil experiments. And the same with Saboteur 2. That's the original game on PC. And then there's more. There's extra rooms, extra story. Lots more to find. And then Saboteur 3, because for years I've planned a Saboteur 3, a 3D game, and learnt how to do 3D graphics and 3D engines, and I completely finished the 3D engine, and then no one wanted them. It was all graphics cards. Okay, start again. And my plan for Saboteur 3 is, again, a Bond villain, but he has an island, and it's full of trees. It's all very green. And one of the Oliver twins said, Saboteur 1 is quite blue, 2 is quite red. You can't have a green game for 3, because on the spectrum, 1 is blue, 2 is red, green is 4. So if you need to make a third Saboteur, has to be purple. Okay, so all my plans for years of making a fourth game, well, a third game is now a fourth game. And of course I haven't got it here it's not on the next yet, but blue, red, the next one's magenta. So I had to create a whole new game all about purple, and researched things that were purple, so amethysts and just loads of random things. And so some levels are set in a mine, some are on a different planet and all sorts of things. And I ran out of ideas for levels, and a friend of mine said, make a gay bar in London and just have it all purple. So now there's a gay bar halfway through the game, just to make it purple.
So after the ZX Spectrum Next has been released, I think it was a kind of jump for you with more games, more released.
Yes, well, in two ways.
It activated you a little more than...
These have been good because I can make these myself. I can self-publish them. Whereas like the Nintendo Switch version, I can't at the moment. So I go through a publisher. Another reason these are different is this is Spectrum code with better graphics and more memory. My easy code system works in C or something similar. So I had to write these completely from scratch without using my system. But it's like a Spectrum with more memory and different screen modes. So it's really like going back to the Specky. It's nice.
What was the biggest challenge when you switched between those platforms?
Sorry, for these or for...
When you switched, when you said that you created a completely different platform, yeah? When you switched, yeah?
Yes.
So what was the biggest challenge, yeah? Did you still was able to use some parts of the code?
It's still retro graphics, so even on the Switch, it was still bitmapped sprites. So all the graphics in here are as good as the next ones are the Switch graphics. But the code, and the data for the rooms is the same. But the whole code is all written from scratch. But I've written the same bit of code over and over again for years, so I know the enemy routine works like this, the dog routine works like this.
Was it a good change for you?
Financially, yes. A bit of a different change of head. Instead of development, it was thinking about, I've got to change the website so you can buy these, and contacting suppliers for cartridges and SD cards, getting things printed, going to the same company with the same template for Saboteur 1 and 2, and then they move the text like that, and on the shelf it looks horrible. So just dealing with arseholes is awkward. But programming-wise, it wasn't a challenge. It was just going back to 40 years ago and doing specky stuff again. So I think riding a bike, once you do it, you just do it from then on.
Okay, so because we are in a half of our meeting, let's talk about two things that will be more or less soon. So maybe let's start from the gamer card. Can you say more about this?
This is a prototype, so it doesn't turn on, unfortunately. You've probably heard of Clive Sinclair. His nephew, Grant, is also an inventor. So this is going to be the next Sinclair machine. The plan is, if you go in a shop and you want to buy a gift card for someone, you can buy a blank card and say, put 50 quid on, give it as a gift. So in theory, you'll take one of these off a rack, between 99 and 125 pounds, and it will have the Switch version of Saboteur 1, 2, 3, and Quantum Storm as well, which is a breakout game. So it'll be pre-installed with those and a few other games. And if you have annoying children or parents and you're going on a plane, buy one of these, shut them up, off you go. And this is better than the Spectrum version. It looks like an Amiga, but it's the power of a Switch, and it looks like the Switch versions.
It's Raspberry Pico second, right? It's Raspberry Pi.
Raspberry Pi, yes.
Yeah, Raspberry Pi, yeah.
And some other bits and special technology that he has a patent for. This isn't a box. This is a circuit board and another circuit board squashed together. So you probably can't see, but this is the back of a circuit board, and you can feel it, which makes it tiny and very light. So, it's not quite finished yet, because, can you hear these? I think that would annoy you if someone's on a plane next to you doing that. But it's nearly, there's only 4 of these in the world at the moment, and this is one of them.
So it's still in the development, right?
Yes, but maybe a month away, so soon. And the plan is to put them in airports and similar shops all over the world. So I think they will sell a lot. A lot.
Grant Sinclair was working with his was working with Clive from his teenage year, right?
Yes, yeah, I think he helped out, and his Grant's father helped with a lot of design work, not designing the Spectrum, but just old radios and TVs, and gave him creative input. So Grant was there as a child, being part of this inventor's world.
He's seen a lot of Sinclair research from
crazy ideas.
80s. To tak tylko dodam, że Grant miał kiedyś przylecieć do nas, jak w trakcie pandemii było Pixel Heaven w październiku, tylko akurat on miał wtedy grypę czy coś, no w każdym razie nie COVID-a, nie doleciał, wtedy doleciał tylko Crispin, czyli syn Clive'a. Okay, so I know that you are developing now Game Boy version of Saboteur.
I've worked on Game Boy Mono and Game Boy Color and Game Boy Advance, and I've always wanted to make a Saboteur, but the thing people liked about the Spectrum version of Saboteur was huge sprites. So I couldn't do that on here. I could shrink everything down so you can see the whole screen with tiny sprites, but that's not Saboteur. So I thought, big sprites. When the ninja does a kick, he's 6 sprites wide. And when a guard does a kick, he's 6 sprites wide. And the machine can only do 10 in a row. So his foot would go missing or something. So I didn't think it was ever possible. And then recently, because we've got emulators, which I didn't have originally working on this, I could do some experiments and try to... I have 8x8 blocks for the background and some spare ones. So if I want a ninja here, I will see what the background blocks are, copy them into my spare ones, stick the ninja graphics on top, and then replace the background with those graphics. So it looks like a ninja has appeared, but hasn't used any sprites. So now I can use the sprites for the guard and the dog and shuriken and things. And it's fast enough. So at that point I knew it was possible to make it for this. And the screen scrolls a tiny bit. So It's the same Spectrum size screen, Spectrum graphics, just a window into the Spectrum screen, but prettier.
Is it big improvement comparing to the ZX Spectrum, where you don't have sprites, you don't have tiles, actually?
It's faster if you use sprites,
Yeah.
but my way to make them is slower because there weren't enough sprites. And with the Spectrum, you can draw to an area of memory, and that appears on the screen. So draw a smiley face here, it's on the screen. With this, you can't, because the processor is constantly looking at this bit of memory and copying it to the screen, and then, like an old TV, it gets to the bottom, and then it has a rest, and then it starts again. And when it has a rest, then you can quickly draw things on the screen when it's not looking. So I draw the ninja, I let the screen draw. When it's having a rest, I draw the ninja, and then I draw the guard, and then I draw the dog, and it's annoying. You just don't get time to do anything. But the machine runs faster, so every 4 frames, I can do the ninja and the guard and the dog and shuriken and the panel and all sorts. So it's a different way of thinking. It's like going from an old computer to a Windows computer, where everything's happening all at once, but only just do a fraction of this and a fraction of this and a fraction of this. So it's Z80 language, so it's the same as the Spectrum, but the whole mentality was different. So that was the challenge.
Yeah, it's the tiling makes it different.
Yes, yeah, very much.
Yeah.
But again, it's an example of see what that is good at and find a way to solve the problem. Make that fit into this.
Yeah, okay. So when we can expect the Game Boy version to be finished?
How long will it take you to make a cartridge?
Okay, complicated question.
Okay, it'll probably take me a week to finish off
Okay,
the game, and then...
We have almost the game
Yes.
at that point.
Everything works except if a guard punches you, it hurts. And if you punch a guard, nothing happens. So he'll just beat you up.
Okay. Clive, how many games have you made? Have you ever counted? It's in the book. It's in the book, okay.
Mobile
Roughly
phone,
counting.
20. Spectrum, 4. And variations, maybe 7 or 8. Finished ones, yeah. And then some console games, and the 4 next games, and some PC games. Do you include Switch? Okay, well, I don't know. Several.
Okay.
Most of this book is like a diary for me. So it's a list of all my games in order, and then maybe if I've moved house, something changed. Or an event like here, which will be in the next part of the book.
It's over 300 pages, by the way.
Yes, so lots of games.
Lots of games. Okay.
Fortunately, most of them are Saboteur, so sometimes it's the same old game for a different audience. And sometimes it gives me a chance to expand on the universe. This is, I always wanted to write a text adventure, and I thought you just see what people type, look for a verb and a noun, and see what room you're in, and then figure out what to do. But it became much more complicated, especially as I wanted to make it in different languages. So in, I think in Portuguese, the word for a zip in in Brazilian Portuguese, I think that word for a zip in Portuguese is a word for if you turn your trousers up like this. So I had to get it all translated separately. Massively complicated. It was a really silly idea. But it works. So this is based on, it's the same world as this, which is why it's got bits of red instead of blue. And it's the same map. So if you've played this as a platform game, you can play this as a text adventure and follow the same map. And maybe find some secret rooms and learn more about what the bad guy is doing. Your mission in this is to hide some secret chips with coded information and prepare a motorbike and turn off some radio jamming signals and things so that Nina, in this game, can get into the building, find a convenient motorbike, find all the coded chips, and escape. So they all tie together. That game's a different character, Saboteur 1, but I have plans for, in theory, 8 Saboteur games, not including the spin-offs. And I'm a Spectrum fan, so Saboteur 0 will be my original title, Ninja Darkness, which is black. Saboteur 1's blue, 2 is red. Saboteur Scio is chemical formula for quartz, which is the amethyst, which is magenta. And then I've got a green, cyan, yellow, white game planned for each of the other colours. And in Saboteur 5, all the ninjas that you've met in these will meet. And their adventures continue, in theory.
Okay, maybe it would be great time to ask the audience for the question.
Okay.
Jeżeli ktoś ma pytanie, to może to jest dobry moment, żeby zacząć je zadawać, bo powoli zmierzamy w stronę końca spotkania.
I have a question. I never was able to enjoy the game at the time because I have Atari. It was never released on Atari, fortunately. Do you know why? Is it not popular computer?
I don't think it was. Spectrum and Commodore 64 were there, and then Amiga and Atari came slightly after. And I think if Jarell had kept doing games instead of insurance software, then we probably would have ported the games to the newer machines. But it's not too late. So, especially with events like this, we were talking about doing a Atari XL, or XL, not ST, but a different Atari.
No, the 8-bits version.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we'll probably make a retro version between now and next year. Yeah?
W każdym razie są takie plany, tak. Była wersja na CD Venture, taka wydana okazjonalnie na kasecie, ale było to, że tak powiem, port niezależny od Clive'a. Teraz są pewne zmiany, które Clive by chciał.
Someone recently has done a port of Saboteur 2 on the Spectrum and made it slightly faster. And they do say go to Clive's website. But I said, do you want to do an official version? And they said, no, I don't want to share my code. So they just released it on the internet. So there's no point me doing it now because it's been done. Which is annoying because I could have worked with him and done one of these boxes, an amazing new presentation. But he just took my code and didn't want to share his code, which is annoying. The XL people, I think they did it initially as an experiment to try to put that many colours on the screen. And I've spoken to them a bit, and I think they are willing to work on a proper version. So that'll be a legit version of this. This version. It won't. Originally, I did the Spectrum and Amstrad. The Commodore version was a poor copy of the Spectrum version, and this version is a better copy of the Spectrum version. And Atari version is a copy of the Commodore version, which is a copy of the old Spectrum version. But if we work together, the Atari version could be a copy of this new Spectrum version. So that could be really good.
So if someone wants to port to, say, Amiga, he can contact you?
Definitely, yep. I've spoken to lots of people who, I say I've got the maps, the graphics, the game logic, and people start working on it and then they go on to something else and lose interest. But yes, definitely.
Was there someone that started already
Yeah.
Amiga version a
Yes.
few years ago?
They were making their own sort of platform engine and game, and then they decided to just make the engine and then let other people make games. So he didn't finish a game. I don't think he's ever finished a game, but it's a very good engine.
So there is a spot for Amiga version, definitely.
From me, there is, yes. Any volunteers to make an Amiga version? I have graphics, maps, data, music. Okay. One day.
Maybe someone is just shy.
Yeah.
Jakieś jeszcze pytania?
So, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm trying to put the puzzles into timeline properly. So, you mentioned when you started when you was a young guy, yeah. So the first lady mentioned that why the ninja guy is not a female, yeah. So, wasn't the market just ready for a female ninja, or you just wanted to stay with the badass guy? Because I'm trying to point to the Netflix documentary I watched some time ago, yeah, when they created the Pac-Man, yeah, just
Yes.
to cover the female market, yeah.
And Miss Pac-Man, yeah.
Yeah. The market just exploded, yeah. So I'm wondering, the British market wasn't just ready for
I think
the ninja lady, or
I think it was 14-year-old boys, mostly. So they didn't want to be female, but maybe on the box.
yeah, but I'm just wondering if you just wanted, you didn't want to create a separated version, like for boys, just when the badass ninja guy just run around, or and keep the
I think it had to be-
version for females, or just
It had to be one or the other for memory, but no, just didn't think about it really. It was a bit of a risk, but it worked, so that was good. I don't know what would have happened if it hadn't worked. Then it would just be I'd be remembered for one game instead of a series of games, so, and hopefully more. But yeah, it was definitely a risk. I think with Tomb Raider, they took it to loads of publishers, and no one was interested because no one wants to play the part of a girl. And then one person said, "Actually, yeah, we'll publish it," and then massive.
yeah, because Pac-Man shows, yeah, how the market exploded, yeah, when they released
Yeah.
it, yeah. So it was a very busy time, yeah.
Maybe in Japan it worked. Maybe Britain wasn't ready for that.
I think it's a kind of different target because Pac-Man is for all ages of kids, right? It's very simple graphics, not personalized with human.
That was Miss Pac-Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, Miss Pac-Man. So it was just, different
Maybe I could
case.
do a ninja game with a male ninja with just a little bow in his hair. Maybe not.
Yeah, but it was a kind of risk to make it female.
Very much, yes.
Comparing to the movie business, there was not, I don't remember a movie with the female protagonist being ninja in 80s.
Well, and Cynthia Rothrock is still touring the world, still flexible, and so, yeah, she's still going.
In 80s?
Ninja 3, The Domination, had Lucinda Dickey from Breakdance the movie.
Okay.
She was possessed by a Japanese ninja bloke, but she was still badass.
Okay. Jeszcze jakieś pytania?
Any other titles apart from Saboteur that you're working
At the moment, I've done Quantum Storm, which is just a breakout game with amazing music. When I said about someone had took Saboteur 2, the Spectrum version, and didn't want to share his code, but happy to take mine, that was a Ukrainian guy. To make this, I was looking for music on the internet, and I found loads by a Russian guy, and I didn't know he was Russian, I just knew a nickname, and I tried to contact him, but the website was 10 years old, his email address was 10 years old, and almost gave up. And then a girl contacted me, and she looked like a princess, and I thought, this is an old man in a cellar or something, obviously a scam. And she said, why do you want to talk to that guy? And I said, my name's Clive, I made a game on the Spectrum, and I saw that he's made music in this old format. Could you explain to him? And then I got a message from him. It was his niece, so it was a real person. And he said, I know who you are, everyone knows who you are, you can use all my music for free for anything you want. And he was Russian, so a Russian scientist, strangely. So the Russian guy was really nice, and the Ukrainian guy was a thief. So I guess we shouldn't just assume they're all the same. So to answer your question, apart from that, not really at the moment. Mostly Saboteur on different platforms, including mostly this at the moment. And because I want the story to be bigger, I probably will do different projects. I do websites, so I jump around with that. But I want to make a big story arc. So these people that you meet in Saboteur 1 and 2, you see their future and what happens to them, and a bit of their past as well. So I want to make 8 games, in theory.
8 new games, or totally 8 games?
8 main titles, and then spin-offs. But it's got to be 8 because it's the Spectrum. So
Okay.
you'll have 8 colours in there. For now, we'll see. And also, I have the rights to do Saboteurs, so I couldn't do a Street Fighter game because I don't own it. So yes, Saboteur.
So nowadays we can play Saboteur on Nintendo Switch, obviously on PC.
PS4 or 5.
Yeah.
Xbox coming any day now.
Yeah.
Still.
Okay.
But I wrote the Xbox version 7 years ago, and it's still not happened yet. But any day now, honest.
Yeah.
And
ZX
Game Boy
Spectrum, ZX Spectrum next,
Yes.
and
And Game Boy and Gamer Card. So
okay.
trying to think what else. And Atari at some point. So, and Amiga at some point. We will see.
Okay. How you find yourself in this new reality of developing game, comparing to when you were 18, starting
Technologies helped. with
literally in
emulators.
bedroom?
Yes, yeah. Well, still our house is 2 bedrooms, so we rent, but 1 room is an office. So I'm still actually coding in a bedroom. But I've got emulators, laptop. It's so much easier. And all the tools are amazing. In the olden days, we'd draw graphics on squared paper and then work out the binary into decimal, type it in. Now you can use art packages. So over the years, I've made my own tools. So I could draw a sprite and say, for this format, I want the graphics cut in this order, or for a different format, for that, I want them cut in squares or something. So the machines have got better, development systems got better, my own tools have got better. It's just dramatically different. I think the remake maybe took a month to make all the new things, compared to a year for the original. So, yeah, amazingly much better.
Do you have any estimates how many copies of Saboteur were sold?
I think Saboteur 1 in the first 6 weeks sold 20,000, so that was good. And I got 50p royalty, so £10,000 in 6 weeks,
Nice.
which was cool for a kid.
Did you get the money or your parents? Did you get the money or your parents?
It's complicated. I sort of lived with my mum and my stepdad. Actually, when I was 3, my parents split up, and I lived with my grandmother. And then, when I was 8, the guidance counsellors said, "Where do you want to live?" And I thought, should I live with my mum? Should I live with my dad? And I couldn't decide. And then I went home, back to my grandparents, and they said, "Did you pick us?" I was like, oh shit, I didn't know that was an option. So that's when I became a programmer. And I tried to look at all the options and see what the choices are. So that was quite life-changing. And then as a teenager, I thought I've got a chance. I was offered a job making games by gier Software, where I would have started work on Death Pit. And I said, no, I'm going to college. And I went to college to do art and physics and maths. And they said, no, you can't do that. You have to do art, or you have to do science. You'll never get a job doing art and science. So, but I insisted, and I did college for a year, and thought, oh, there's a computer teacher. By the time people teach him what to say, and then he teaches us, and then we leave and get a job, everything will have changed. So I gave up college and went back and said, is the job still there? And they said yes. So I left home, got a small flat, and went to work for them. And yes, I got the money. And I got a mortgage and got a house, and which was quite cheap in those days. And then Margaret Thatcher made all the house prices go up. So in 2 years, my house doubled in value. And then I realized I was a teenager, so I didn't want a big house. It was just a big toy. So I sold it and bought a camper van and just traveled around in a van and spent all the money. So now I'm not rich. I don't have any income from a house. I have a girlfriend who works in a bar, who I can see hiding her face in the background. So between us, with the next games and her money, we survive. So we're not rich, but we're not dead.
Okay. So I hope new ports and new releases bring you some joy of spending something on nice thing.
If the gamer card sells well all over the world, then yeah, this time next year I'll be a millionaire.
Okay, thank you very much. It was a pleasure to welcome you again in Poland and talk with you.
It's my first time in Poznan, and we love it. It's awesome.
Awesome, thank you. Dziękujemy bardzo.
Thank you.